Hey everybody, it's Joe Vizio here. I said that I wanted to, not gonna tell a story about being up in Pennsylvania with my cousin, so I'm finished my night again. Technically today's my Friday, but I got a feeling it's going to be a pretty rough weekend. So Friday's not going to matter too much. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into this. As I said in the last video, I'm going to try and shorten some of these videos up, because I have a feeling that I'm having a little problem keeping people's attention because I'm just blah 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 blah. So here we go. One of the highlights of my trip up to Pennsylvania was getting to visit with all of my cousins. This is my mom's sister's kids. She had 5 total kids. One died when they were 3 months old. The other one died in her mid-20s from cancer. And there's 3 of them that are still alive. One of them, the female, who is just a year or 2 younger than me. Yeah, there was some closeness there from when we were small children. As, my mother was pretty good at kind of maintaining a relationship with her sister. Even if she didn't talk to any of her other brothers and sisters and her parents, she always... I remember a lot of trips from childhood of going up to Aunt Corinne's house and hanging out with Sally and Annie. And, Annie's the one that passed. It's, around the time, I don't know if you've seen the video about the Tony the Tiger pillow, when my mother smothered me with a Tony the Tiger pillow. I know that video really didn't get a lot of views, so I don't know, how much it circulated out there. That was actually a pretty hard story for me to tell. But there was some closeness there with Sally. Although it's been 30 years now since I've seen Sally. And then, Dominic, who was the youngest, he's like 27 years old. He actually came to my house and visited with me. I made a video about that as well. And then Jose, who I never met, I held him when he was like 2 weeks old. I think I was like 11 or 12, something like that. And it was nice to get to see all these guys, I hung out with Jose. Like I said, it was the first time I really got to meet him. And Jose's a firefighter. Jose's a firefighter in this little town up in Pennsylvania. And when I went over there to see him, he spoiled my daughter. We got to climb all over the fire trucks. He even loaded us up in the fire truck and drove us around the block and through the field. That was kind of a childhood dream of my own. Let my daughter dress up in the equipment and had a little toy helmet for her and coloring books. And we went to the petting zoo and it was great. And it was really nice to be able to talk with Jose, which that's not his real name. I just, I don't think he knows about the videos that I do, and it's not fair for me to use his real name. So anyway, we got to talk a lot. Got to talk a lot about our childhood, and he's on the same page. He knows what he went through. He knows it wasn't right. He just kind of has a whole different way of looking at it. As he is a firefighter, he sees tragedy almost on a daily basis. So he is one to understand that we're not guaranteed tomorrow. So as much as he knows what his parents did and all that, he has very little contact with his parents. His father is deceased. He's been deceased probably, it was actually on Valentine's Day this year that his father died. And he was very, very low contact with his father at that time. He's tried to help his father out. There was one particular story that he said that, where his father and his mother were having problems, and he took his father out and asked his dad, he's like, Dad, what's your dream? And he said, well, I'd like to be able to take your mother out to eat. And Jose was just like flabbergasted. He's like, really? I mean, that's your dream? That's your hope? Is it just take mom out for a burger? I mean, just get... But, he looks at it, he's not forgive and forget. It's kind of more, it is what it is. This happens, two imperfect people had a kid. They did a shitty job raising me, but I make my own life. And, that works for him. And it shows that he's not depressed. He doesn't dwell. He just lives for the day. So I admire that about Jose. There was definitely a lot to learn from him. But Jose very rarely speaks to his brother and his sister. And I got to see Dominic. I love Dominic. Dominic's a hard person to get a hold of. And Dominic has found himself in some bit of trouble. I didn't really question Dominic about what happened or anything. I do know that, the last time I got to speak to Dominic, he had sent me a message probably about 2-3 o'clock in the morning. And it was something to the effect of, everybody's just pulling him in all these different directions and he doesn't know what to do. And this is after his father had passed away, and he's trying to step in his father's role and take care of his mother. And, before that, Dominic was really no contact. He knew what his parents were capable of. Two quick, small examples. His parents' car broke down. It blew a head gasket. As Dominic is an auto mechanic, he took the car and was trying to fix it. His parents gave him $0 to fix his car. Nothing for labor and nothing for parts. So it was Dominic that was trying to do this on his own time with his own money. And he didn't quite have the money to buy the new head for this car. And I guess his parents thought that he was taking a little too long with it. And they called the police and told him that he stole the car. So, when Dominic sent me that message, my reply to him was, do what you can, but make sure you take care of yourself. And his reply was something like, you don't understand. I have to take care of my mother. And that was the last time I heard from Dominic. And it had been, months. And I even tried calling him a few times. He wouldn't answer my calls or nothing. So, I even kind of gave up a little bit. But when I got up there to Pennsylvania and got to talk to him, and I told him, I said, cuz, I'm sorry. hope you don't think that I'm overstepping my bounds. But he said, oh, no, I understand exactly what you were saying. I was just so torn. And I told him, I said, well, cuz we call that hoovering. You got hoovered back in. I said, when your father passed away, you got sucked right back into the bullshit. And I said, I can't blame you for it. But, that's all I was trying to tell you. And if I told you the wrong way, I apologize. Well, come to find out, and I had made mention in another video about my cousin that passed away had 2 boys, and the boys are bouncing around and have nowhere to go. One of them's 18 years old, and he's currently homeless. He was the one that was living with his grandmother, and where we found all the crack paraphernalia under the bed and all that kind of shit. Well, apparently, the Dominic's father really didn't like the boy. He was kind of an abusive person, reason why, all the kids really didn't have good contact with their parents. He was a pretty abusive person. And I don't know exactly what happened, but this guy, Dominic's father, I'll use his real name, Dennis, was in the process of yelling at the grandson, to the point where right there on the spot, the guy dropped and hit the floor. He was in the process of having a massive stroke. And he told them, which was the grandson and another guy, don't call an ambulance. And they didn't call an ambulance. They just tried to put him in the back of the car to take him to the hospital. But, by the time they got to the hospital, the man was already dead. That's Dominic's father. That's Jose's father. That's Annie's stepfather. So, little did I know, and this is the reason why Dominic was able to get himself hoovered back in, a day or 2 before Dennis died, Dominic got into a pretty heated argument with his father. And he told his father that you are the worst father anybody could ever have. And that was the last words that he had said to his father. So that's kind of how Dominic got sucked back in. I feel bad that that young man found himself caught into that situation. I can understand. But that's what happened. Dominic does not have a relationship with Jose or his sister. And then we'll talk about his sister, Annie. I got to see Annie the first time in 30 years. It was great to see her. She kind of lives her own life. Many people wouldn't approve of it. She seems at times more of a friend to her 3 girls than she is a mother. But she's doing a pretty damn good job at what she's doing because her girls seem pretty healthy. They may not all be into the best of things, but you know what? I just got done telling the story about me being a part of the 90210 crowd and drinking beers and stuff. I mean, this is what teens do. You don't like it, you don't want them to do it, you want to prevent them from doing it, but, they're going to find a way to get out and do it. Nobody's perfect. But my cousin Sally, she tries her best with her girls. She does good. And before I left her house, I made sure that I told her, don't let anybody tell you any different, cuz you're doing good for yourself. Be happy. Me and Annie, really, because we're closest in age, and we really got to see the brunt of it from everybody. We had a lot of stories to talk about with each other. Sally, I don't know if I keep calling her Annie. Sally she swears by forgive and forget. if she forgives her parents, then she'll forget about it and everything's good and the slate is wiped clean. I don't agree with that, but if she thinks it's working for her, then that's good for her. I just don't even see it working for her because you can really see the depression on her. You can see that she really harbors a lot. It's deep down in there behind them eyes. And if you're watching this, cause I know you can deny it all you want, I can see it. So I don't do the whole forgive and forget thing. Forgiveness is reserved for those who deserve to be forgiven. Forgiveness is reserved for those that stop this shitty behavior that they need to be forgiven for in the first place. There's no sense in forgiving somebody that has no intention of changing their behavior or even recognizing that their behavior is hurtful or destructive. I like no contact for assholes like that. It's just as soul cleansing as forgiveness, but only you don't keep getting made a fool of over and over and over by keep having to forgive this person for the same shitty behavior. That's the way I look at it. Sally does not speak to either one of her brothers. She would like it if her brothers had something to do with her. She would love to have a relationship, but she doesn't pursue it because she feels that both of her brothers really want nothing to do with her. Jose feels like Dominic causes his own problems and that Sally dwells in her own depression. Jose feels like the other two don't handle things like he does, so he kind of doesn't want anything to do with it. Not kind of in an uppity way, but Jose's kind of distanced himself from the family because he knows how destructive it is. And if he sees his brother and sister going down that same path, he wants nothing to do with them. Dominic thinks his brother Jose is stuck up. Mr. Firefighter, Mr. Too Good for Us. And when I was telling Dominic about my visit with Jose, he had some kind of derogatory things to say. You know, when I was telling him about the fire truck, oh yeah, I bet you he was just in his glory. Oh, he ain't nothing but a volunteer. He's just like a rent-a-cop. Like, yo, cuz, he's happy, man. You know, just people are happy doing what they're doing and he's proud. He was proud to show me. Don't hold that against him. Dominic looks at his sister like she goes out of her way to be a charity case. And this is what her parents showed her, because her parents lived their lives as charity cases. Her mother and her stepfather. They were always had their hands out. They always had a story, and the story never included hard work. I gotta give their father, Dennis, a little credit because at least he, you know, worked the same job in a grocery store for 25 years or something like that. But, you know, if you're going to work in the grocery store for 25 years, if I'm going to be there for 25 years, by the time I'm on my 25th year, you bet your ass I'm going to be a manager or something like that. I'm going to have a little bit of ambition. He had no ambition whatsoever. He was just happy stocking groceries and was nothing too complicated. Put can of beans on shelf, put can of pickles on shelf, rinse, repeat, and that's all he ever was good for. So, as a matter of fact, both the boys kind of look at the girl the same way. She just wants to be a charity case. She's never really stepped out to do anything above and beyond. And, you know, I mean, I don't agree, but I don't disagree. You know, I remember one time I was having a conversation with Sally, and Sally had made a comment to me to where she said she has trouble having confrontations with men. And I can kind of see the abuse behind that. I can kind of see that coming from the way her stepfather treated her, and you know, she's got that kind of an outlook now. The two boys just kind of don't understand that. The girl looks at, you know, Dominic as, yeah, he finds his own trouble, but she's helped him out many times, and Jose's never really given her the chance. I guess Jose's never really needed any help. You know, he's there when he can. If he sees her at a social gathering, hey sis, how you doing? But again, he's distanced himself from the family. So we got 3 siblings. They really have absolutely nothing to do with each other. And it all kind of centers around how they handled the abuse from their parents. Nobody agrees with each other. They all don't deny what happened. They all can agree what happened and how it happened. But they kind of hold it against each other about how they handle it. I think this is something common sometimes with all of us. And we're not talking about the ones that just absolutely flat out, the golden children, that deny that these kinds of abuses happen. You're crazy, that never happened. No, this is beyond that. They all recognize that this happened. They just hold it against each other about how each one has coped. I do the same thing with my sister. This is where me and my sister's relationship is really falling apart. You know, I was kind of disgruntled with my sister because she's never helped me out with my mother. She bullshit me into going up to North Florida, getting my mother, moving her in with me. She was supposed to help me take care of her, and she never did. She suckered me, and I held that against my sister. But there's times where I have to take in consideration that my sister hasn't gotten over the fact that my mother abandoned her. So she shouldn't have bullshit me, but I can't force her to have any kind of contact with my mother. And my sister thinks that I wanted her to choose between me and her father, which I didn't want any of that. I just needed my sister to not have 2 faces. When you're crying on my shoulder, which she did, about the things that my father did, and I've got plenty of videos that talk about this kind of stuff. When you're crying on my shoulder, don't cry on my shoulder on Monday, and then on Tuesday tell me, well, if you can't accept Dad for who he is, then yeah, maybe you shouldn't have a relationship with him, and you're wrong, and blah, blah, blah. No, you don't do that to me. And that's where me and my sister's falling out is how we've coped with all this. My sister really does think that there's going to be an inheritance from her father. And I say that because I know my sister. I know my sister. My sister is a money-motivated person. But she's not a money-motivated person by working for it. She wants it given to her. In that aspect, she's kind of just like my mother. One of my sister's big things with my father is that my father's never helped her out. He didn't pay for her school, which he even told her one time, hey, you go out, you research and find all this stuff, and we'll see what I can do, and I can help you pay for it. And she did all that. No, I can't. I'm not paying for it. I don't know where you heard that. So my sister thinks that somewhere at the end of the rainbow that there's going to be a pot of gold. There's also my grandmother. My sister, if my sister was a golden child to anybody in the world, it was my grandmother. To my grandmother, when my sister poops, golden doves flew out of the sky and carried her poop off to heaven. My sister loves her grandmother. My grandmother lives with her father. So in order to maintain a relationship with her grandmother, she's got to go through my father. And I can say, yeah, I mean, since I've gone no contact with my father, anybody on that side of the family, I can't get in touch with. And even if I do try and get in touch with, their opinions have been so poisoned that it's irreparable. So here I am on my, trying to shorten my videos up, and I'm coming up in 25 minutes long on this. I'm sorry. You know, sometimes if I'm going to tell a story, I got to tell the full story. And I don't even think I'm telling the full story on this. I'm just trying to kind of blaze right through this and get it all out. But I don't know, maybe some of us can reflect upon the relationships that we have with our siblings. Are you actually mad at each other because you guys have done something to each other? Or are you just at a point where you just disagree at how you guys have handled your abuses? And again, I know there's a lot of people out there that have the siblings that just deny that ever happened. The golden children. I know, maybe, you know, that this one might not count for you because you have full reason to not contact your siblings. But for those who find themselves in the position of my cousins and in the position that I'm in, it sucks. My cousins are losing so much time. They have so much that they can bond over. They don't have to like the same things. They don't have to do the same things, but they have a common bond of what they went through and how each one of them has survived and risen above what they could in their own way. And I wish that me and my sister could see that for each other. But that's beyond repair. My sister right now thinks I'm as crazy as what my father paints me as. And I don't think that we'll ever talk to each other again. And if we do, it'll definitely be after my father has long passed away. Even if that, you know, if we ever even get that far. So, I don't know if you guys can relate to this. I hope you enjoy this 30-minute long short video. You know, I kind of needed to get this out and see. So, guys, thank you very much. I appreciate everything and everybody that's been out there and coming around and, you know, I mean, and I've been hitting all your videos too. I mean, I don't usually comment when I'm at work and I'm on my phone because that's, you know, usually my prime time. I hate trying to type stuff on while I'm on my phone and I'm working and stuff like that. But, you know, Cece's World and Belle Michelle and Gatekeeper's Heart, Breaking the Chain Michelle. I mean, I've been keeping up with all of you guys. I'm watching you, and of course I always kind of keep an eye on Ollie. You know, I mean, I kind of always skip over the videos that are, I guess, kind of relationship focused because that kind of, to me, turns into a mudslinging thing. But, you know, I'm not here to judge anybody, and anybody who thinks they need help, I hope they get it from whoever they can get it from. So, guys, thank you very much. I appreciate anything. And if there's any new listeners, any of those names that I mentioned, go check out their pages and their videos. They all got some pretty good things going on. So, guys, thank you very much.